a white billionaire with an immense fortune that many dream of. Yet he always feels lonely because there's no one by his side until he unexpectedly meets his ex-wife again, surrounded by 3 little boys who look exactly like him. He has no idea that this fateful encounter will uncover a long-buried truth and force him to make the most important decision of his life. Before we go back, let us know where you're watching from and subscribe because tomorrow I've got something extra special for you. A titan of industry, a man whose name echoed through the hallowed halls of global finance, was about to discover a truth that would shatter the meticulously constructed facade of his solitary existence. Arthur Vance, a name synonymous with unparalleled success and ruthless ambition, stood before the panoramic expanse of his penthouse office, the glittering tapestry of the metropolis sprawling beneath him like a dominion he had single-handedly forged. Every gleaming skyscraper, every pulsing artery of traffic felt like a testament to his boundless will. At 48 years of age, Arthur possessed a fortune that would dwarf the accumulated wealth of several generations. His colossal enterprise, Vance Holdings, commanded a valuation in the dizzying realm of double-digit billions. The financial gazettes and society columns often heralded him as the nation's most coveted and enigmatic bachelor. Yet as the indigo hues of dusk bled across the sky, an unfamiliar tremor of disquiet stirred within him. "Mr. Vance," his venerable assistant Clara announced with a gentle rap upon the door. "Your esteemed reservation at Ether's Peak is confirmed for the hour, and the board members have already begun their journey." Arthur, with a practiced motion, adjusted the knot of his bespoke silk tie and reached for his impeccably tailored jacket. Another evening, another meticulously orchestrated business repast. This, he had long convinced himself, was the very essence of his fulfilled life, an unending cadence of high-stakes meetings, intricate negotiations, and yet more meetings. He found a certain stark satisfaction in this relentless pursuit, or so he perpetually affirmed to himself. "Thank you, Clara." He uttered a faint, almost imperceptible smile gracing his lips. "You are dismissed for the evening." Clara, a woman whose unwavering loyalty had spanned 18 years of dedicated service, a confidant who likely understood the intricate labyrinth of his soul better than anyone alive, hesitated momentarily at the threshold. "There was one additional correspondence, sir. A rather distinctive letter arrived for you today, bearing the insignia of Dubois Legal Solutions." Arthur felt an immediate visceral jolt, a sudden paralysis gripping him. Dubois, a name that had been meticulously purged from the active directories of his memory for countless years, a name he had strenuously endeavored to relegate to the deepest recesses of oblivion. "Simply place it upon my desk," he managed to articulate, striving for a semblance of nonchalance. Yet his pulse now hammered a frantic rhythm against his ribs. After Clara's discreet departure, Arthur's trembling fingers reached for the pristine envelope. He felt an uncanny certainty, even before the seal was broken, of its provenance. Celeste Dubois, his former spouse, the woman he had once cherished with an intensity that surpassed all understanding, until the insatiable maw of his ambition had irrevocably devoured their shared world. A cascade of poignant memories, vivid and unbidden, surged forth as he held the still-sealed missive, their modest apartment in the nascent days of their union. Celeste's melodic laughter, the cherished ritual of her bringing him artisanal coffee in bed each dawn. Then came the insidious progression of their disagreements, initially mere whispers swelling into tumultuous gales. The desolate day she departed, tears a torrential river upon her face, her voice fractured as she declared her utter inability to contend with his relentless craving for achievement. "Not now, under any circumstance," he murmured to the empty room, abruptly consigning the fateful letter to a locked drawer. An imperative dinner awaited. Individuals of profound consequence were already anticipating his arrival. The restaurant itself was precisely what one might expect from the city's most exquisitely priced establishment, a cathedral of crystal chandeliers cascading ethereal light, the murmur of soft classical music weaving through the air, and a retinue of waiters gliding with the spectral grace of shadows. Arthur assumed his accustomed place at the head of the grand table, forcing a strained chuckle at witticisms devoid of humor, engaging in superficial pleasantries with individuals whose names barely registered in his consciousness. And it was at that very juncture, Mr. Sterling, one of the more boisterous board members, was expounding that I unequivocally informed him the stock was utterly worthless, fit only for kindling. A chorus of obedient laughter rippled through the gathered executives. It was then in that moment of manufactured merriment that Arthur perceived her. She was seated at a table 3 away, her ethereal beauty undiminished, precisely as captivating as the day their paths had first converged. Celeste, her raven hair once a flowing cascade, was now styled with a chic, contemporary brevity, but her smile, that resplendent smile that had once encapsulated his entire universe, remained precisely, exquisitely identical. She was engaged in conversation with an individual Arthur could not discern clearly. Then the unmistakable sound reached him. Children's laughter, 3 distinct unbridled peals of it to be precise, all approximately 6 years of age, clustered intimately around Celeste's table. 3 boys. Their smiles mirrored hers, but an unnerving chill snaked its way down Arthur's spine. The curve of one boy's lips, the peculiar endearing tilt of another's head. These were not merely any children. "Mr. Vance, are you in optimal health?" Mr. Sterling inquired, his brow furrowed with palpable concern. Arthur found himself utterly bereft of breath, his very thoughts dissolving into a chaotic maelstrom. Mathematics had never been his forte, yet he possessed the fundamental capacity to count. 6 years. The decree of divorce had been finalized 7 years prior. Celeste had chosen to leave him, and he, consumed by an indomitable pride, a suffocating stubbornness, had been utterly incapable of contending for her return. "Please excuse me," he enunciated, rising with such precipitate haste that his chair teetered precariously, threatening to topple. "I require a breath of fresh air." Yet instead of gravitating towards the exit, his feet, as if guided by an unseen, irresistible force, propelled him inexorably towards Celeste's table. She was laughing a pure, unadulterated sound at something one of the boys had undoubtedly uttered when her gaze lifted and intersected with his. The laughter abruptly extinguished upon her lips. "Arthur," she whispered, her voice devoid of anger or elation, imbued only with an unsettling carefulness. The boys, their bright eyes wide with unadulterated curiosity, looked up at him. One boy, the one with the unruly dark curls, possessed his eyes, precisely his eyes. "Are they?" He found himself utterly incapable of completing the fragmented query. Celeste's countenance underwent a subtle yet profound transmogrification. A fleeting chiaroscuro of apprehension mingled with an unyielding resolve momentarily flickered across her features. "They are mine," she declared with an unshakable firmness. "Mommy, who is that man?" One of the boys, the one with Celeste's exact dimples, innocently inquired. "Just someone Mommy once knew a long time ago," Celeste replied, her voice carefully modulated, yet her gaze, piercing and unwavering, remained fixed upon Arthur's face. Arthur felt the opulent room begin to spin around him, a dizzying vortex. These boys, these exquisitely beautiful, utterly perfect boys, they had to be his. The chronological convergence, the unmistakable echoes of his own features in theirs, the very cadence of their movements. How could he have remained so profoundly oblivious? Why had she not imparted this earth-shattering revelation to him? "We are in dire need of a conversation." He managed to articulate, his voice a strained rasp. "No, we are not," Celeste countered, though a discernible tremor subtly vibrated within her voice. "You rendered your definitive choice a considerable time ago, Arthur. You unequivocally selected your burgeoning empire over every other conceivable consideration, over me, over us. But they—" He lowered his voice instinctively, acutely aware of the curious speculative glances emanating from adjacent tables. "They are mine," Celeste reiterated with unwavering conviction. "They are mine. I made every conceivable effort to apprise you, Arthur, when the knowledge of my pregnancy first graced me. I contacted your corporate offices countless times, dispatched numerous letters. You had altered your private number. Your previous assistant, not Clara, but the one preceding her, resolutely asserted that you were far too preoccupied to be disturbed. After a period, I comprehended the implicit message. You desired no contact, no discovery." Arthur felt as though a physical blow had landed squarely in the pit of his stomach. He recalled with chilling clarity those tumultuous months subsequent to Celeste's departure, the desperate, almost manic immersion he had sought in his professional endeavors, the swift alteration of his personal contact number, the hiring of a new assistant, anything, absolutely anything, to circumvent the crushing pain of her absence. I was wholly unaware. He whispered the words barely audible. Would it truly have made any discernible difference? Celeste inquired, and for a fleeting, agonizing moment he perceived the profound sorrow she still carried, a burden unlightened by the passage of time. Would you have made a divergent choice? Before he could formulate a response, one of the boys tugged at Celeste's sleeve. Mommy, may we partake in dessert now? You made an explicit promise. Celeste's features softened imperceptibly as she gazed down at her son, their son. Of course, my dearest, she replied, her voice now imbued with tender affection. Why do not the three of you peruse the dessert menu and select something exceptionally special? The boys eagerly seized the menus, granting Arthur a rare, unhurried opportunity to truly absorb their visages. The eldest, a boy with Celeste's dark, expressive hair, possessed his father's undeniably strong jawline, even at such a tender age. The younger two were identical twins, perfect, exquisite amalgamations of both him and Celeste. What are their appellations? He inquired quietly. Celeste hesitated, then exhaled a soft sigh. Ethan and Liam are the twins. The eldest is Noah. Noah, Arthur's own father's name. Had she performed this act with deliberate intent, they are truly beautiful. He managed to articulate, his voice thick with raw, unvarnished emotion. Indeed they are. Celeste's voice was softer, now imbued with a quiet pride. And they are profoundly happy. We are profoundly happy. Celeste, I implore you. We must engage in a thorough discourse regarding this. A truly comprehensive conversation. She regarded him for a protracted moment, her gaze searching, assessing. Then, with a practiced gesture, she extended a business card. My office number. Kindly contact me tomorrow. Not concerning us. That particular vessel has long since embarked upon its journey. She paused, her voice gaining a newfound intensity. But for them, if your earnestness is genuine, if you are truly prepared to dedicate yourself to someone beyond the confines of your own self-interest. Arthur accepted the card, his fingers trembling almost imperceptibly. Returning to his table, his colleagues maintained a feigned disinterest, pretending not to observe his obvious discomposure. His perfectly calibrated, meticulously ordered world had just been irrevocably upended, and he knew with chilling certainty that nothing would ever be quite the same again. As he retraced his steps to his table on legs that felt suddenly like jelly, he could distinctly hear the faint, joyous laughter of the children behind him. His children's laughter, and for the first time in an immeasurable span of years, his vast glittering empire of glass and steel felt profoundly hollow, an empty shell compared to the incalculable treasure he had unknowingly forfeited, and the possibility of a new unforeseen richness he might yet attain. Arthur's sleep that night was a fractured, ephemeral thing. Each time he surrendered to the encroaching darkness, their faces materialized before his inner eye, the vivid, youthful countenances of his sons. The very word, sons, felt alien, unfamiliar, even within the confines of his own thoughts. He possessed 3 sons he had never even known existed, 3 precious lives he had inexplicably missed for 6 interminable years. The following morning, he arrived at his corporate headquarters considerably earlier than his customary hour. Clara was already present, her efficiency as unblemished as ever, his artisanal coffee already poised upon his desk. Clara, he began, his voice imbued with an unusual gravity, I require you to reveal the unvarnished truth to me. 6 years prior, did Celeste make any attempts to establish contact with me? Clara's face registered a subtle, almost imperceptible shift. She lowered the coffee cup with deliberate slowness. Indeed, sir, on numerous occasions. And what precisely transpired with those messages? Miss Davies, your assistant, at that particular juncture, stated that you had issued stringent directives that you were not to be disturbed by your former spouse. She returned all correspondence and meticulously blocked all incoming calls. Arthur sank heavily into his executive chair. Why then did you not apprise me of this when you assumed your position? By then, sir, several months had elapsed. I naturally assumed. Clara hesitated, her gaze momentarily dropping. I assumed you possessed full knowledge of your actions. You never once uttered her name. Not in all these intervening years. Arthur extracted Celeste's business card from his pocket. It already bore the faint telltale creases of repeated handling since the previous night. Dubois Legal Solutions. She had indeed become a formidable legal practitioner, precisely as she had always envisioned. Establish immediate contact with Miss Davies, he commanded quietly. I desire every single letter, every solitary message Celeste ever dispatched, everything. Sir, that transpired 6 years ago. Miss Davies likely retained nothing of the sort. Locate them. Arthur interjected, his voice imbued with an unyielding steeliness. Employ whatever means are necessary, and clear my entire schedule for the forthcoming afternoon. At precisely 1 o'clock, Arthur stood before the unassuming facade of Celeste's office building. It was a modest legal establishment possessing none of the gleaming, imposing grandeur of his own corporate headquarters, yet it exuded an undeniable character, much like Celeste herself. The receptionist, with a polite gesture, escorted him to a small, yet impeccably organized office. Celeste was seated at her desk, poring over documents, spectacles delicately perched upon the bridge of her nose, surrounded by an orderly profusion of legal papers. She looked up as he entered, and he perceived that she had indeed been anticipating his arrival. "You presented yourself," she stated simply, her voice devoid of inflection. "Did you harbor the belief that I would not?" "Honestly, I was uncertain. The Arthur I once intimately knew would have moved mountains and traversed oceans to be present here. But the Arthur you subsequently became—" She shrugged a subtle, dismissive gesture. "I held no conviction." "I have ascertained the truth regarding Miss Davies," he articulated, settling into the chair positioned directly opposite her, "concerning the letters and the incessant calls." "Does that truly alter anything?" Celeste queried, her gaze unwavering. "It alters everything conceivable," he asserted, his voice involuntarily rising in intensity, forcing himself to consciously temper its volume. "Celeste, had I possessed the faintest inkling of your pregnancy, you would have—" "What exactly?" She removed her spectacles, placing them carefully upon the desk. "Attempted to resolve the situation by simply throwing an astronomical sum of money at it, injected us into your already overbooked calendar, wedged between successive board meetings. That is unequivocally unfair. No, tell me something, Arthur. Yesterday at that esteemed restaurant that was undeniably a business dinner, was it not a momentous deal, one you simply could not afford to forego?" He nodded slowly, acknowledging the undeniable truth. "And how many such imperative dinners do you typically endure within a single week?" "That, Celeste, is a completely different matter. I was unaware I possessed a family." "But you did possess a family. You possessed me. And that it would appear was simply not enough." The unvarnished veracity of her statement struck him with the force of a physical blow. She was undeniably correct. Even prior to her departure, he had systematically distanced himself, choosing the relentless demands of his career over the sanctity of their marriage, prioritizing the siren call of success over the profound solace of love. "Relate to me their stories," he pleaded softly, a raw vulnerability in his tone. "Please." Something in the profound earnestness of his voice must have penetrated her carefully constructed defenses, for her expression softened discernibly. She opened a drawer within her desk and withdrew a worn, fabric-bound photo album. "Ethan is the eldest," she began, her voice imbued with tender affection. "By 3 minutes." She then presented him with a photograph. "He is the quintessential artist of our little family, perpetually sketching, perpetually bringing something new into being. Liam is our nascent scientist. He possesses an insatiable curiosity, an unwavering desire to comprehend the intricate workings of everything. And Noah," she smiled, a radiant, almost luminous expression, "Noah is precisely as you were, Arthur, before the corrosive influence of wealth irrevocably altered you, kind, profoundly thoughtful, perpetually striving to elicit laughter from those around him." Arthur's throat tightened almost painfully as his gaze devoured the array of photographs, first tentative steps, first whispered words, first exhilarating day of preschool, a myriad of precious moments he had tragically forfeited. "They have inquired concerning their father." Celeste continued, her voice maintaining an even cadence. "I have never once dissembled with them. I informed them that their daddy was an individual I loved very, very deeply, but that he was compelled to depart for a time. And now, Celeste." Arthur's voice was barely a whisper, freighted with an almost unbearable hope. "Now," Celeste sighed, a profound weariness in the sound. "Now they have attained an age where they commence posing more profound, more challenging inquiries. And truthfully, Arthur, I find myself at a loss for what to communicate to them any longer. Impart to them the unvarnished truth." Arthur declared, his voice imbued with a newfound resolve. "Inform them that their father was a monumental fool who tragically lost his way, but that he now desperately yearns to rectify his egregious errors. It is not so straightforward, Arthur. They possess a life, a meticulously ordered routine. They are profoundly content. I am not petitioning to disrupt their lives. I am merely supplicating for an opportunity, a chance to truly know them, to embody the role of their father. And what, pray tell, will transpire when the next colossal deal presents itself, when your vast empire necessitates your presence more acutely than they do? Arthur, with a decisive movement, reached across the polished surface of the desk and enveloped her hand within his. She did not recoil. I was unequivocally mistaken, Celeste, concerning every single facet of my existence. I erroneously believed that true success resided in presiding over the largest corporation, in accumulating the most staggering wealth. But sitting in that restaurant last evening, observing our children's unbridled laughter, that single moment was worth more than every solitary deal I have ever consummated. Tears glistening and unbidden welled in Celeste's eyes. I harbored an overwhelming desire to communicate with you on countless occasions, even subsequent to the revelation of the pregnancy, even after their precious birth. But you had rendered it so excruciatingly clear that your newly forged life possessed no space for my inclusion. I simply could not bear the prospect of experiencing that profound rejection once more. I am profoundly sorry, he uttered, and the words, raw and heartfelt, held more intrinsic meaning than any he had ever articulated. I comprehend that these mere words are woefully inadequate, but I am so sorry. Just then his phone vibrated, a discreet tremor against his leg. Clara's name illuminated the screen. Without a moment's hesitation, Arthur decisively powered the device completely off. Celeste observed his action. "Do you not find it imperative to attend to that call?" "No," he declared with an unwavering firmness. "Nothing, absolutely nothing, holds greater importance than this profound conversation." She scrutinized his face for a protracted moment, her expression unreadable. "The boys have a theatrical performance at their school next week. They are presenting a contemporary interpretation of The Three Musketeers. Would it be permissible for me to attend?" "Third row, central aisle," Celeste stated quietly, a subtle softening in her voice. "That is my perpetual vantage point. The performance commences at 2:30. Arthur felt an effervescent surge of hope blossom within his chest, a sensation he had not experienced since the tumultuous events of the previous night. "I shall undeniably be there." "Arthur," Celeste's voice halted him as he commenced to rise and depart. "If we embark upon this journey, if we permit your re-entry into their lives, you must possess an absolute certainty, a profound, unshakable conviction. For if you were to inexplicably vanish from their existence, as you once did from mine, I simply could not—" "I will not," he vowed, his voice brimming with unassailable conviction. "I have squandered the preceding 6 years relentlessly pursuing ephemeral objectives that held no true significance. I am unequivocally done with the act of flight." As he strode purposefully from her office, Arthur retrieved his phone and reactivated it. Dozens of unread messages, a litany of missed calls instantly illuminated the screen. Urgent communiques from influential individuals demanding his immediate attention. Intricate deals awaiting his decisive input. Vast sums of capital awaiting his strategic acquisition. For the first time in his entire existence, none of it seemed to possess even the slightest import. He contacted Clara. "Cancel every single engagement for the forthcoming week," he commanded, "and procure for me a comprehensive selection of literature on the nuanced art of fatherhood. Furthermore, ascertain the current preferences of 6-year-old boys, what particular playthings, what engaging pastimes I require an exhaustive education." "Of course, Mr. Vance," Clara replied, and he could discern the subtle, undeniable warmth in her voice. "And, sir, it is truly gratifying to witness the return of the old you." Arthur glanced back at the unassuming facade of Celeste's office building. Somewhere within the vast expanse of this bustling city, 3 precious boys were navigating the quotidian rhythm of their day, utterly unaware that their father's heart was already overflowing a veritable deluge of profound, unconditional love for them. He possessed a monumental debt to atone for a formidable task of proving his worth. But for the very first time in countless years, he felt an undeniable readiness, a fervent desire to contend for something authentically real. The auditorium of Pineview Elementary School was a vibrant tapestry of humanity, packed to its utmost capacity with an eager multitude of parents, each clutching a digital device or a camera poised to immortalize the performance of the Three Musketeers. Arthur, a veritable bundle of frayed nerves, occupied a seat in the third row on the central aisle, precisely as Celeste had instructed. He had unhesitatingly abrogated 3 board meetings and a multi-million-dollar acquisition deal to be present here, and for once the notion of regret was utterly absent from his consciousness. Celeste arrived accompanying the boys, all 3 resplendent in their meticulously crafted musketeer costumes. She noticed him immediately, yet her demeanor betrayed no hint of surprise. She had, he realized, possessed an unwavering certainty of his arrival. He had, after all, dispatched a text message to her every single day this week, merely to reaffirm the precise time and location. "Remember," she whispered as she navigated past his row, her voice a low murmur, "they remain unaware of your true identity. We reached a mutual accord to proceed with deliberate slowness." Arthur nodded a silent acknowledgement. He was, for this auspicious occasion, merely another anonymous visage in the assembled throng, but his heart, a vessel now brimming with an almost unbearable tenderness, nearly burst as Noah strode onto the stage in his impeccably tailored musketeer uniform, complete with a tiny yet formidable plastic sword. He delivered his lines with a captivating precision, eloquently expounding upon the profound significance of unwavering loyalty and brotherhood to his on-stage companions. Ethan and Liam, seated in the audience beside Celeste, cheered their brother on with unbridled enthusiasm. After the final curtain descended, Arthur observed from a discreet distance as parents thronged the stage, lavishing congratulatory remarks upon their children. He was consumed by an overwhelming yearning to approach Noah to laud his magnificent performance, to gather all 3 of them into a fierce, protective embrace, but he had given his solemn promise to Celeste that they would navigate this with painstaking rectitude. Mr. Vance, a teacher, a kind-faced woman with a gentle smile, approached him. "I am Mr. Harrison, the boy's teacher." Arthur tensed imperceptibly. "Does Celeste possess knowledge of your conversation with me?" Mr. Harrison's smile broadened. "She indeed informed me of your potential presence. She also, with remarkable candor, apprised me of the prevailing circumstances." He paused, his gaze softening further. "They are truly exceptional boys. You should be immensely proud." "I am," he articulated, his voice thick with profound emotion. "I merely wish it is never too late to embody the role of a commendable father," Mr. Harrison stated gently, his voice resonating with quiet wisdom. "Only exercise patience. They are eminently worth the wait." Over the course of the subsequent weeks, Arthur learned with newfound humility the true meaning of patience. He commenced his efforts, subtly dispatching anonymous gifts to the school new advanced art supplies for Ethan's art class, a sophisticated science kit for Liam's after-school program, and state-of-the-art sports equipment for the sprawling playground where Noah perpetually gravitated. Celeste, of course, possessed an innate awareness of the gift's benevolent source. They were utterly ecstatic about the new soccer balls, she confided to him during one of their burgeoning weekly coffee meetings. These meetings had, by gradual accretion, become their designated time to converse about the children, to meticulously plan their forthcoming steps. "And the art supplies?" he inquired eagerly, his voice betraying a hint of boyish enthusiasm. "Ethan has not once relinquished those new oil pastels since their arrival. He has already filled more than half a sketchbook." Arthur smiled vividly, imagining his son's engrossed artistic endeavors. "I would be honored to view his artwork sometime." Celeste hesitated, then retrieved her phone. "Here," she offered, presenting him with a photograph. "He completed this yesterday." It was a captivating depiction of 3 young boys unequivocally inspired by their school play. Yet they were garbed in ordinary attire, engaged in everyday activities. One boy was painting with vibrant hues, another was immersed in a book, and the third was engaged in a spirited game of soccer. "It is them." Arthur realized a profound clarity washing over him. He drew himself and his brothers. "He is profoundly observant," Celeste confirmed. "All 3 of them are. They notice everything." Have they made inquiries concerning me, concerning the gentleman from the restaurant?" Celeste slowly stirred her coffee, her gaze fixed upon the swirling liquid. "Liam inquired if you were one of Mommy's esteemed clients. Noah remarked that you seemed vaguely familiar, like an individual he had glimpsed in a fleeting dream." Arthur's heart ached with an almost unbearable tenderness. "And Ethan. Celeste smiled faintly, a profound warmth in her eyes. Ethan stated that you possessed kind eyes. Tears threatened to spill from those very kind eyes. When may I meet them, truly meet them? Soon, Celeste promised. But first, there is another matter of paramount importance we must discuss. She retrieved 3 meticulously organized folders from her capacious bag. Each bore a child's name inscribed upon its tab. These comprise their comprehensive medical records, their academic reports, every salient piece of information you should possess. If you are to be an integral presence in their lives, you must be fully aware of Liam's moderate allergies, of Noah's inherent fear of thunderstorms, of Ethan's occasional eczema flare-ups. Arthur accepted the folders as if they were crafted from spun gold. I shall commit every single word to memory. There is more. Celeste continued, her voice firm. Liam has a burgeoning science fair project due next month. Noah possesses soccer practice every Tuesday and Thursday. Ethan attends art classes on Wednesdays. Their world, Arthur, does not operate according to the rigid dictates of corporate hours. They require unwavering consistency. I shall meticulously rearrange everything, he declared without the slightest hesitation. Clara is already diligently working on restructuring my entire schedule. I am systematically delegating more responsibilities to my vice presidents. And what of your esteemed board? Celeste inquired, a subtle challenge in her tone. Will they not vehemently object to their chief executive officer suddenly transitioning to a part-time engagement? Arthur's face hardened, a steely resolve settling upon his features. Let them object. I have consecrated my entire being to that company for 18 years. It is unequivocally time I bestowed something of profound significance upon my family instead. The word family hung suspended between them, imbued with an incalculable weight of meaning. They were no longer a romantic couple. Both had articulated that particular chapter as decisively closed, yet they were now inextricably bound by something infinitely more potent than mere romance, 3 magnificent sons who merited nothing less than the very best from both of their parents. That evening, Arthur sat ensconced in the opulent confines of his penthouse, spreading the folders across the polished surface of his coffee table. He had, with a surprising surge of nostalgia, ordered a gourmet pizza, an indulgence he had not partaken in for countless years, and settled in for a night of profound immersion in the intricacies of his children's lives. Liam, he noted, harbored an allergy to kiwi and tree nuts. Noah had garnered a Most Improved Player accolade in his recent soccer league. Ethan had been specially selected to have his captivating artwork prominently displayed in the hallowed hallway of the school. His phone vibrated ceaselessly with the incessant demands of business calls, yet he ignored them all with a newfound serenity. Instead, he opened his laptop and commenced compiling meticulous notes soccer gear in Noah's precise size, a curated selection of art supplies. Ethan might adore advanced science books for Liam, not to be dispatched to the school this time, but to be readily available at his own residence purely as a contingency, just in case they ever expressed a desire to visit their father. The following morning, he contacted his real estate agent. The penthouse, I have concluded, is fundamentally unsuitable, he stated, his voice unwavering. I require a dwelling more conducive to family life, a property boasting a sprawling yard situated within the catchment area of exemplary schools. But, sir, his agent protested, a hint of incredulity in his tone, you merely completed an extensive renovation of the penthouse last year. Circumstances, my dear fellow, possess an inherent fluidity, Arthur replied, his gaze drifting to a crayon drawing Celeste had bestowed upon him, Ethan's latest artistic masterpiece. People one discovers possess an innate capacity for transformation. Later that week, he convened with Celeste for their accustomed coffee meeting. Her demeanor seemed troubled. What disquiets you? He immediately inquired. It concerns Noah, she began, her voice tinged with a delicate concern. He has an upcoming father-son field day at school next week. He typically attends with his uncle, my brother Finn. But this morning he innocently inquired why he does not possess a father like his friends do. Arthur's heart squeezed painfully in his chest. What, pray tell, did you communicate to him? I conveyed to him that the concept of family manifests in a myriad of diverse configurations and dimensions, that some children are blessed with 2 parents, some with 1, some with more. But she looked directly at him, her gaze unwavering. I believe it is time. Time for you to meet them in a proper capacity this time, not as an enigmatic stranger glimpsed in a distant restaurant, but as... She drew a slow, deliberate breath. As their father, Arthur felt an almost unbearable elation, as though his heart might at any moment spontaneously combust. "Are you absolutely certain?" "No," Celeste conceded with disarming honesty. "But they unequivocally deserve to know, and you have, over the course of these preceding weeks, provided irrefutable evidence of your genuine commitment. You have not once failed to attend a single coffee meeting. You have assiduously familiarized yourself with their schedules, their burgeoning likes and dislikes. You are unequivocally making a genuine effort. When?" His voice was barely a whisper, brimming with anticipation. "This coming Saturday. I intend to take them to the expansive park near our residence. They harbor a profound affection for the playground there." She smiled slightly, a hint of amusement playing upon her lips. "I hear it has recently been augmented with some brand new equipment." Arthur endeavored to project an air of innocent unawareness. The playground renovation had in fact been his most recent anonymous benefaction to the community. "Thank you," he articulated softly, his voice thick with emotion, "for granting me this invaluable opportunity. Do not express gratitude just yet." Celeste cautioned, her voice retaining a hint of solemnity. "This is merely the nascent stage, and it will undeniably prove challenging. They might manifest anger, confusion, even fear. We must be prepared for every conceivable eventuality. We shall navigate it together," Arthur declared with a newfound certainty. Then, realizing the potential unintended implication of his words, he swiftly amended, "As parents, I signify," not as, "I comprehend your intended meaning," Celeste stated gently. "And you are correct. Whatever may transpire this Saturday, we shall unequivocally navigate it together. For them." Arthur departed the coffee establishment feeling as though he were treading upon air. After 6 years of dwelling within a sterile realm of dispassionate business transactions and hollow triumphs, he was finally poised to meet his sons, to truly meet them. He possessed 4 days to meticulously prepare for the most momentous encounter of his entire existence. No business accord, no corporate consolidation, no billion-dollar contract could possibly compare to the profound significance of this impending event. This, he recognized with profound clarity, was about the very essence of family, about the transformative power of love, about the precious gift of second chances. And Christopher Langston, a man now fundamentally altered, was utterly resolved not to squander this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Saturday morning dawned under a shroud of brooding, ominous clouds, threatening an imminent deluge. But Arthur, consumed by a singular overriding purpose, felt no concern for the meteorological conditions. He had barely achieved any semblance of slumber, spending the greater part of the night rehearsing with meticulous precision the words he would utter to his sons. Now, standing amidst the vast expanse of his walk-in closet, he confronted an unexpected yet utterly profound crisis. What in the name of all that was sartorially appropriate did a father wear to his inaugural meeting with his children? His phone chimed softly. It was his mother, Evelyn Vance. "Arthur, darling," she cooed, her voice betraying a hint of imperiousness. "What is this disconcerting rumor I perceive regarding your abrupt cancellation of the Sterling Group deal? Your esteemed father meticulously constructed this illustrious company upon the bedrock of precisely such agreements." Arthur sighed, a subtle weariness escaping him. He had as yet refrained from apprising his parents of the existence of his children. "Mother, I find myself utterly unable to engage in discourse at this precise moment. I possess an engagement of paramount importance. More significant, Christopher, than a $150 million transaction. The board, I must inform you, is experiencing considerable unease. They are asserting that you have fundamentally altered." "Perhaps I have," he conceded, his voice remarkably calm, finally selecting a simple, soft cashmere sweater in a muted shade of indigo rather than his customary unyielding business suit. "And perhaps, Mother, that is not an inherently detrimental development. This, then, is unequivocally about her, is it not?" Evelyn's voice suddenly assumed a glacial, unforgiving tone. "I observed you at Ether's Peak 2 weeks past in the proximity of Celeste." Arthur froze, a sudden coldness gripping him. "You were present there." "I was partaking in dinner with the Prestons. I distinctly observed your approach to her table. Those children—" She paused, a dramatic intake of breath. "Tell me they are not your progeny." "They are," Arthur stated with an unwavering firmness, his voice resonating with a newfound pride. "You now possess 3 grandsons, Mother, triplets no less. Their appellations are Ethan, Liam, and Noah." The silence that descended upon the other end of the line was utterly deafening. Then a sharp, indignant exclamation pierced the quiet. "How dare she conceal this egregious secret from us? We shall institute legal proceedings for immediate custody. We are the Vances. We possess irrefutable rights." "No." Arthur's voice was sharp, cutting through her indignation. "You will engage in no such action. Celeste has raised them with exemplary diligence. Without our intervention, without my presence, if anyone is entitled to anger, it is them." "But the company is merely a company," Arthur interjected, his voice imbued with a fervent passion. "These are my sons, your grandsons, and if you harbor any genuine desire to be an integral part of their precious lives, you will unequivocally respect the manner in which Celeste and I choose to navigate this delicate situation." He abruptly terminated the call before she could formulate a response. His hands, he noticed, were trembling. He should have anticipated that his mother would endeavor to complicate matters. The Vances, after all, were unaccustomed to encountering resistance to their will. At the expansive park, Arthur arrived with uncharacteristic punctuality. He settled onto a weathered wooden bench, observing other families relishing their Saturday morning, a father patiently instructing his daughter in the intricate art of bicycle riding, a mother pushing her son skyward on the swings. Simple, unadorned moments he had tragically foregone. His phone vibrated once more. A text message from Clara. "Your father is at the office, sir. He is demanding an immediate audience." Arthur's fingers flew across the keypad. "Inform him I am presently occupied meeting his grandchildren." A few moments later, Celeste's vehicle pulled into the parking area. Arthur's heart momentarily ceased its rhythm as he witnessed their egress. The boys were clad in vibrant, waterproof raincoats, emerald green for Ethan, royal blue for Liam, and crimson red for Noah. They bounded with unbridled energy towards the playground, their mother following at a more measured pace. "Are you prepared?" Celeste inquired when she reached him, her voice tinged with a delicate uncertainty. "No." Arthur admitted, a profound honesty in his tone. "But I harbor no desire to procrastinate for another solitary minute." They walked together towards the playground. The boys were already immersed in their play, Noah mastering the intricacies of the new swing set, the twins taking turns descending the twisting slide. "Boys," Celeste called softly, her voice carrying across the gentle breeze, "would you be so kind as to approach for a moment? There is someone I wish for you to meet." The triplets, their young faces alight with a mixture of curiosity and uninhibited joy, raced over their eagerness, tempered by an engaging lack of shyness. Up close, Arthur could discern every minute, exquisite detail of their faces. Liam possessed a delicate sprinkling of freckles across the bridge of his nose, precisely like himself. Noah's unruly dark hair fell across his forehead in the exact manner of Arthur's own. Ethan possessed his mother's captivating dimples. "This is Mr. Vance," Celeste began, then paused, her gaze steady upon Arthur. "Arthur, and he is your father." The boys stared at him, their expressions a tableau of nascent comprehension. Noah's mouth fell open in silent astonishment. Liam grasped his brother's hand, a reflexive gesture. Ethan merely tilted his head, his wise, perceptive eyes scrutinizing him with an unnerving intensity. "You are our daddy." Noah finally articulated, his voice a barely audible whisper. Arthur knelt down, bringing himself to their level. "Yes, I am my dearest ones, and I am profoundly aware that I have been absent, and for that I am so deeply sorry. But I yearn with every fiber of my being to be present now, if you will only permit me." "Where were you?" Liam's voice, though small, was remarkably clear. "I was—" Arthur glanced instinctively at Celeste, seeking a lifeline, but she subtly shook her head. They had reached a mutual understanding to be unfailingly honest. "I was engaged in a profound act of folly. I was so utterly consumed by the relentless pursuit of what I erroneously believed to be success that I tragically forgot what truly possesses intrinsic value. Family, my boys, truly matters. You, each of you, unequivocally matter." "Do you possess other children?" Ethan inquired, his voice soft, almost hesitant. "No," Arthur stated gently, his gaze encompassing all three of them. "Only you three, and you, my beloved sons, are more than sufficient. You are, in fact, my entire universe." Before anyone could utter another syllable, a sharp, imperious voice sliced through the ambient air. "Arthur!" Evelyn Vance, clad in an impeccably tailored business suit, strode purposefully across the verdant expanse of the park, his father, Charles Vance, following dutifully in her wake. They appeared utterly out of place amidst the weekend park-goers. "Mother, I implore you desist," Arthur cautioned, rising slowly to his full height. "These are our grandchildren," Evelyn announced, her gaze sweeping over the triplets with a complex mixture of nascent pride and shrewd calculation. "They should be ensconced in the comfort of our home, not exposed in some common public park." "Mrs. Vance," Celeste interjected, her voice cool and remarkably composed. "This is neither the appropriate time nor the suitable venue." "Oh, it speaks!" Evelyn sneered, her lip curling in undisguised disdain. "Pray tell, my dear, what astronomical sum of money did you anticipate extorting from us by so heinously concealing our grandchildren?" The triplets instinctively pressed closer to their mother, their young faces registering fear at the angry woman's strident tone. Arthur deliberately positioned himself between his parents and his nascent family. "You will not address Celeste in such a reprehensible manner," he declared, his voice a low, dangerous rumble. "She has been an extraordinary mother. She protected them, loved them with an unparalleled devotion, provided them with every conceivable necessity." "Where were you then?" Charles interjected, his voice a strained whisper. "Where was I? My son, be reasonable. Consider the impending scandal. We must address this privately with our legal counsel." "No." Arthur turned to his sons, who were observing the unfolding drama with wide, unblinking eyes. "I am profoundly sorry for this distressing turn of events. This is unequivocally not how I envisioned our initial meeting unfolding. But I desire for you to comprehend something of paramount importance. Your mother is without a doubt the strongest, bravest individual I have ever known, and every single action she has undertaken, she has done so exclusively for you." Ethan stepped forward suddenly, his small hand slipping trustingly into Arthur's. "Your eyes appear sad," he stated simply, his voice a pure, innocent observation. That simple observation, that innocent touch, fractured something deep within Arthur's carefully constructed composure. Tears, hot and unbidden, streamed freely down his face. "I am indeed sad," he admitted, his voice thick with raw emotion. "Sad that I relinquish so much. Sad that I am only encountering you now. But also profoundly, overwhelmingly joyful that I am afforded the privilege of meeting you at all." Liam and Noah, their initial apprehension replaced by a burgeoning curiosity, moved closer as well. Evelyn commenced to utter something further, but Charles placed a restraining hand upon her arm. "Evelyn," he murmured quietly, "observe them." The boys were now standing in close proximity to Arthur, gazing up at him with unvoiced questions lingering in their young eyes. Celeste observed the scene with meticulous attention, poised to intervene if necessary, yet allowing the poignant moment to unfold organically. "May we address you as Daddy?" Noah inquired suddenly, his voice brimming with nascent hope. Arthur looked at Celeste. She nodded almost imperceptibly. "I would be honored beyond measure," he stated, his voice cracking with emotion, "but only if that is your fervent desire. We can proceed with utmost slowness, become acquainted with one another first." "I desire to comprehend everything," Liam declared, his voice ringing with scientific curiosity. "Do you possess an affinity for the celestial sciences?" "I adore the celestial sciences, especially the unfathomable depths of space." "And soccer," Noah added hopefully. "And drawing," Ethan chimed in, his artistic spirit eager for connection. Arthur laughed through his tears, a profound joy welling within him. "I yearn to comprehend everything conceivable about each of you two. Every preference, every aversion, all of your most cherished possessions." Evelyn and Charles stood awkwardly to the side, silent observers, witnessing their son's inaugural, heartfelt interaction with his children. The anger which had so recently contorted Evelyn's face seemed to visibly drain away, replaced by something immeasurably softer. "They possess your eyes," she remarked quietly to Arthur. "All three of them." "They possess considerably more than that," Celeste interjected, her voice gaining a newfound strength. "They possess his innate kindness, his boundless creativity, his indomitable spirit, every virtuous attribute of Arthur before the relentless machinations of the business world transformed him. And now," she looked at Arthur with an expression akin to burgeoning hope, "now perhaps they shall finally possess their father too." The rain, which had ominously threatened throughout the entire morning, finally began to descend soft and gentle, a cleansing benediction. But no one stirred. The Vance family, encompassing all 3 generations, stood unmoving in the tender rain, observing as something profoundly broken commenced its arduous journey towards healing, as something tragically lost began its remarkable odyssey towards rediscovery. It was far from perfect. There would undeniably be a multitude of more challenging conversations, more bittersweet tears, more intricate adjustments, but it was without question a beginning. And sometimes a beginning is all that is truly required. The weeks that succeeded the momentous park meeting ushered in profound transformations for every individual's existence. Arthur had acquired a new residence situated merely 15 minutes from Celeste's, a dwelling exuding an inviting warmth and comfort, boasting an expansive backyard, and crucially a designated room for each of the boys. He had, with an uncharacteristic tenderness, permitted them to select their own preferred hues. For the walls, a deep, contemplative sapphire for Ethan's room, a vibrant cerulean blue for Liam's, and a rich forest green for Noah's. Today marked their inaugural overnight visit. Arthur, he acknowledged, had never experienced a more profound sense of nervous anticipation in his entire life. The EpiPen for Liam's allergies is secured within the kitchen drawer. Celeste reminded him for the 4th time, her voice tinged with a maternal anxiety. And Ethan's specialized cream is within my pocket. Arthur completed his tone reassuring. And Noah might experience a degree of apprehension if thunder erupts, but narrating a captivating story consistently assuages his fears. I remember every detail, Celeste. She nodded, yet he could discern the subtle vestiges of worry lingering in her eyes. This represented the first night she would spend physically separated from her son since their very birth. "Mommy, we shall be perfectly fine," Liam declared, his small arms encircling his mother's legs in a fierce hug. "Daddy possesses a formidable telescope. He is going to reveal to us the wondrous tapestry of the stars." The very word "daddy" still caused Arthur's heart to perform an exhilarating, almost painful leap within his chest. The boys had, with a surprising naturalness, commenced using it, though occasionally they still referred to him as Arthur. He cherished both appellations with an equal profound reverence. "And he acquired a plethora of art supplies," Ethan added with unbridled excitement. "Genuine professional artists' materials and a magnificent soccer goal for the backyard." Noah could scarcely contain his boundless joy. Celeste smiled despite the gnawing anxiety. All right. You 3 must be exceptionally well behaved. Contact me if you require anything whatsoever, at any given moment. Understood." After her car's faint retreat, Arthur stood gazing upon his sons, and experienced a fleeting yet potent moment of panic. What precisely did he comprehend about the intricate art of fatherhood? "May we partake of pizza?" Noah inquired hopefully, his eyes wide with anticipation. Arthur laughed, a profound sense of relief washing over him. Pizza, he mused, was an objective he could unequivocally handle. "Indeed, my little buddy. What particular variety do you find most palatable?" "Cheese, pepperoni, everything, save for the abhorrent anchovies." They spoke with an almost synchronized enthusiasm, and Arthur found himself inexplicably relaxing into the moment. They were simply boys, his boys, and they ardently desired to spend time in his company. While awaiting the arrival of the pizza, Liam, with his inherent scientific curiosity, discovered Arthur's home office. "What, pray tell, is all of this?" he inquired, his small finger pointing at the multitude of computer screens displaying complex stock market data. "That, my inquisitive one, is what constitutes my professional endeavors," Arthur patiently elucidated. "I assist formidable corporations in achieving substantial growth and profound success." "Is that then the reason you were not present with us?" The question, uttered with unadulterated innocence, struck Arthur with a piercing force. "Partially," he admitted, his voice tinged with regret. "I erroneously believed that true success resided in the accumulation of vast sums of capital, but I was profoundly mistaken. Genuine success, my dear Liam, is intrinsically measured by one's unwavering presence for the individuals one profoundly loves." Liam considered this pronouncement with a thoughtful solemnity, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Like how Mommy perpetually attends all of our school performances." "Precisely like that," Arthur stated, swallowing hard against the sudden lump in his throat. "I am deeply remorseful that I regrettably missed those performances, but I vow with absolute conviction never to miss another. Do you promise?" Liam's eyes, fixed upon his father's, were imbued with a profound seriousness. "I promise." The pizza arrived, and they consumed it in the sprawling living room, an act of uninhibited spontaneity Arthur had never before indulged in. The boys, with an effervescent enthusiasm, regaled him with tales of their school adventures, their cherished friendships, their burgeoning dreams. "I aspire to become an astronaut," Liam declared, his voice ringing with a nascent ambition, "and to discover entirely new planetary bodies. I am unequivocally going to compete in soccer at the Olympics," Noah asserted confidently. "I wish to paint pictures that evoke profound happiness in people," Ethan added softly, his artistic soul already manifesting. Arthur listened to each cherished dream with an equal profound attentiveness. "You, my precious sons, possess the inherent capacity to become anything you desire to be," he affirmed. "I shall assist you in realizing those aspirations." After dinner, they meticulously set up the colossal telescope on the expansive back porch. Arthur, it transpired, had enrolled in a rudimentary astronomy course during his collegiate years, and Liam was visibly impressed by his father's profound knowledge of celestial constellations. "That, my boy, is Orion," he indicated his finger, tracing an invisible pattern in the night sky. "Observe his distinctive belt, 3 incandescent stars in a precisely aligned row. Like us," Ethan exclaimed, his artistic imagination already ignited. "We are 3 in a row, too." "Indeed," Noah agreed with fervent enthusiasm. "I am the central star." "No, I am," Liam countered playfully. "Actually," Arthur intervened, his voice resonating with a gentle wisdom, "you are all uniquely special stars. Just as in the vast expanse of the cosmos, each and every one of you radiates your own singular, magnificent light." The boys wholeheartedly embraced this enchanting notion, and soon they were engrossed in the joyous pursuit of fabricating their own fantastical constellations. Arthur, with a profound sense of contentment, captured a series of photographs on his phone, intending to transmit them to Celeste, desiring her inclusion in this precious moment as well. Bedtime, however, proved to be a considerably more formidable challenge. Despite their unbridled excitement concerning their newly designated rooms, the boys exhibited a discernible nervousness regarding the prospect of slumbering in an unfamiliar domicile. "May we all slumber in the same room?" Noah inquired, clutching his beloved stuffed lion with an almost desperate grip. "Please," the twins echoed in unison. Arthur contemplated their earnest request. "How about we construct a magnificent fort in the living room instead?" This proposition was met with a chorus of enthusiastic approval. Soon the living room underwent a magical metamorphosis, transformed by an architectural marvel of blankets, an opulent profusion of pillows, and the whimsical twinkle of Christmas lights Arthur had serendipitously discovered in a forgotten closet. He read them 3 enthralling stories, one meticulously chosen by each boy, until their eyelids, heavy with the sweet embrace of impending sleep, began to droop. Just as they were finally succumbing to slumber, a low, resonant rumble of thunder echoed ominously from beyond the windows. Noah tensed immediately, his small body stiffening with apprehension. "It is perfectly all right," Arthur soothed gently, pulling his son closer into his comforting embrace. "Do you recall what the wondrous telescope revealed to us? Thunder, my brave boy, is merely the sky's unique way of extending a boisterous greeting." "That is hardly scientifically accurate," Liam mumbled sleepily, his nascent scientific mind already critiquing the whimsical explanation. "No," Arthur conceded, a gentle smile playing upon his lips. "But sometimes, my dear Liam, it is perfectly permissible to entertain a touch of magic." The boys finally surrendered to the tranquil embrace of sleep, but Arthur remained awake, his gaze fixed upon their serene, rhythmic breathing. His phone vibrated softly. A text message from Celeste. "Everything in order." He promptly transmitted the photographs from their stargazing expedition, adding, "All is profoundly well." "They are utterly amazing, Celeste. You have performed an absolutely wonderful job in raising them." Her reply manifested with remarkable swiftness. "We indeed created beautiful children, did we not?" Arthur smiled in the pervasive darkness. "Yes, we most certainly did." The following morning, Arthur awoke to discover Ethan already awake, absorbed in the quiet pursuit of drawing in a secluded corner. He had, with an uncanny precision, captured the essence of their blanket fort, complete with 3 diminutive figures, peacefully slumbering within, and a larger, watchful figure observing over them. "Is that us?" he inquired softly, striving not to disturb the profound stillness of the sleeping children. Ethan nodded, his eyes bright. "It is our very first night as a genuine family." Arthur felt the familiar bittersweet sting of tears threatening to well once more. He seemed of late to shed copious tears, but these he acknowledged were tears of unadulterated joy. "May I retain this drawing?" he requested, his voice imbued with a delicate earnestness. "I would be honored to have it framed for my office." "Your corporate office?" Ethan looked up, his expression one of gentle surprise. "Yes, my little artist, so that when I am there, I can unfailingly recall what truly holds the most profound significance." Later that morning, when Celeste arrived to retrieve them, she found them all in the kitchen, engaged in a rather ambitious endeavor to prepare pancakes. Flour, he noted, was liberally distributed everywhere, and the pancakes themselves were undeniably misshapen, yet every individual present was enveloped in the joyous sound of laughter. "Mommy!" The boys rushed forward, enveloping her in a collective enthusiastic hug. "We observed celestial stars and constructed a magnificent fort, and Daddy permitted us to incorporate chocolate chips into the pancakes." Celeste raised a perfectly sculpted eyebrow at Arthur, who merely offered a sheepish shrug. It was, after all, a truly special occasion. "May we return next weekend?" Noah inquired, his voice brimming with hopeful anticipation. "Please," the twins added, their voices a harmonious chorus. Celeste looked at Arthur. He endeavored to maintain a neutral expression, yet she could discern the undeniable glimmer of hope dancing in his eyes. "We shall consider it," she stated, but a faint, knowing smile played upon her lips. "Perhaps next time we could all partake in dinner together." Arthur's heart leaped with a profound exultation at the mere suggestion, not because he harbored any romantic aspirations. Both had unequivocally articulated that such a chapter had definitively closed, but because it signified her nascent willingness to trust him with their cherished sons. As they were departing, Liam turned back, his gaze fixed upon Arthur. "Daddy, will you attend my science fair next week? I am presenting a project concerning the very stars we observed. I would not forgo it for all the treasures in the world," Arthur promised, his voice resonating with a deep sincerity. After their departure, Arthur ambled through his house. It was considerably messier than it had ever been before. Blankets strewn haphazardly, dishes piled in the sink, flour liberally dusted upon the floor. But it had never in its entire existence felt more profoundly like home. He proceeded to his office and with a tender reverence pinned Ethan's drawing directly above his myriad computer screens. Then he contacted Clara. "Cancel my Tuesday morning meetings," he instructed. "My son has a science fair presentation to deliver." "Of course, Mr. Vance," Clara replied warmly, her voice imbued with understanding. "Shall I procure flowers for her?" "No." Arthur smiled, a genuine, unforced expression. "Make it a sophisticated chemistry set instead. And, Clara, thank you for your understanding." "Thank you for finally comprehending too, sir." Arthur gazed at Ethan's drawing once more. 3 diminutive stars and 1 larger one, all harmoniously positioned under the same sheltering roof. It was not, he mused, the conventional success story he had once relentlessly pursued, but it was without question profoundly superior. So much better. It commenced as a quintessential Tuesday morning. Arthur was meticulously reviewing a series of formidable contracts in his office when his phone emitted a soft ring. Upon discerning Celeste's name illuminated on the screen, he instinctively smiled, anticipating a call regarding their meticulously planned family dinner that very evening. However, her voice, when it finally reached his ear, was taut with a palpable chilling panic. "Arthur, it is Ethan. They are transporting him to the hospital. He was already seizing his car keys, his movements swift and decisive. What precisely has transpired? His allergies. It is a severe reaction this time, truly profoundly grave. We are presently in the ambulance." He could discern the faint yet unmistakable wail of sirens in the background, interspersed with Ethan's labored, gasping breaths. "Which hospital?" "Unity Medical Center. Arthur, he is so profoundly terrified." "I am en route." He hurtled past Clara's desk, his words a clipped command. "Cancel everything. Family emergency." The drive to the hospital was a disorienting blur. Arthur unhesitatingly disregarded 3 successive red lights, utterly oblivious to the potential repercussions of traffic citations. All he could focus upon was the harrowing image of his youngest son struggling desperately for air. He had only been a father for a mere few months. He simply could not countenance the thought of losing him now. At the hospital, he discovered Celeste ensconced in the emergency room, clutching Liam and Noah close to her, their small bodies trembling with fear. The twins looked utterly terrified. "Where is he?" Arthur demanded, his voice raw with urgency. "They escorted him back there." Celeste indicated her trembling finger, pointing towards a set of daunting double doors. "They would not permit me to accompany him. They stated his oxygen levels were alarmingly low." Arthur, with a powerful, instinctive movement, pulled all of them into his arms, his nascent family. Even if he and Celeste were no longer united in a romantic sense, he would protect them. "He is going to be all right. He has to be all right." Hours stretched into an agonizing eternity within the sterile confines of the waiting room. Liam and Noah eventually succumbed to the weary embrace of sleep, curled uncomfortably upon the rigid chairs, but Arthur and Celeste remained relentlessly awake, their senses acutely attuned, awaiting any fragment of news. "I should have anticipated this," Celeste murmured quietly, her voice heavy with self-reproach. "He had a faint sniffle last night, but I erroneously believed his antihistamine would suffice." "Do not," Arthur stated firmly, his voice resonating with an undeniable authority. "Do not for a single moment assign blame to yourself. You are an extraordinary mother." "Some mother." Celeste's laugh was brittle, tinged with a profound bitterness. "I cannot even shield him from this affliction. Hey." Arthur reached out and gently enveloped her hand within his. "Do you recall what you communicated to me when I first returned, that we now navigate challenges together? That fundamental principle, my dear, extends to both of us. You are no longer solitary." A doctor, a man with a weary yet kind countenance, finally emerged from the imposing double doors. "Mr. and Mrs. Vance." Neither corrected his assumption. "How is he?" they inquired in a synchronized unison. "Ethan is now stable." The doctor stated, his voice a profound balm to their frayed nerves, but he suffered a severe anaphylactic reaction. His airways were critically constricted. "We have initiated a course of powerful medication, but we would prefer to retain him overnight for meticulous observation." "May we see him?" Arthur inquired, his voice laced with an almost desperate urgency. The doctor nodded. "He has been asking for both of you and his brothers." They gently roused Liam and Noah from their slumber, and the family followed the doctor to Ethan's room. He appeared so terribly small within the vastness of the hospital bed, with slender tubes gently positioned in his nose and a chorus of monitors emitting rhythmic beeps around him. "Daddy!" His voice was weak, barely a whisper. "You came." Arthur rushed to his side, gently enveloping his tiny hand within his own. "Of course I came, my sweet boy. I shall always unfailingly present myself when you require my presence." Both of us. Ethan offered a tired smile to his parents. Together, Celeste and Arthur exchanged a profound, understanding glance over their son's head. Even amidst the somber atmosphere of the hospital, Ethan, with his innate sweetness, was subtly attempting to foster their reunion. Liam and Noah cautiously climbed onto their brother's bed. "Does it hurt?" Liam inquired, his voice laced with a child's simple concern. "Not anymore," Ethan reassured them, a brave tremor in his voice. "The doctors administered special medicine." "I was profoundly scared," Noah admitted, his small voice thick with emotion. "Me too," Ethan conceded. "But then I recalled what Daddy articulated about stars, that we are all uniquely special stars that emanate our own distinctive light. I simply needed to shine a little more brightly to breathe with greater ease." Arthur felt his throat tighten almost painfully. He had been utterly unaware that his simple words had possessed such profound significance for his son. The night gradually wore on. The twins eventually drifted back into the tranquil embrace of sleep, curled together in an uncomfortable chair. Celeste and Arthur remained steadfastly seated on either side of Ethan's bed, neither willing to abandon their vigil. "You are not obligated to remain," Celeste murmured to him around the stroke of midnight. "I am aware you possess that monumental merger tomorrow." "Clara is meticulously handling it," Arthur stated firmly, his voice unwavering. "This is precisely where my presence is most imperative." Ethan stirred softly in his sleep, and both parents instinctively reached out to adjust his blanket, their hands brushing briefly, a fleeting tender contact. "Do you recall when they were born?" Celeste inquired softly, her voice imbued with a gentle nostalgia. "How incredibly tiny they were. I ardently wish I had been present." Arthur confessed, the familiar bitter pang of regret washing over him with renewed intensity. You are present now." Celeste's voice was gentle, filled with a profound understanding. "When it unequivocally matters." Morning arrived, and with it considerably more heartening news. Ethan's breathing had improved with remarkable significance, and the doctor affirmed that he could return home the following day. However, he would necessitate a more aggressive, comprehensive treatment regimen for his allergies, including daily nebulizer treatments and strict dietary protocols. "I shall procure the most eminent specialists," Arthur promised, his voice resonating with an unshakable conviction, "whatever he requires." "We possess the financial capacity to manage the expenses," Celeste commenced, but Arthur gently shook his head, a resolute expression on his face. "Please permit me to undertake this, not because I am endeavoring to simply inundate the problem with money, but because he is my son, and I love him. I love all of them." Celeste scrutinized him for a protracted moment, her gaze searching, assessing. Then, with a subtle inclination of her head, she acquiesced. "All right, but I possess certain stipulations. Anything. We shall navigate this as an unwavering team. Every single decision we render, we shall make in concert together. And you must make me another solemn promise." "What precisely is that?" "Promise me you will not inexplicably vanish again, not merely for Ethan, but for all of them. They are in profound need of their father, the father you have unequivocally become now, not the man you were before." Arthur gazed at his sleeping son, at the twins curled contentedly together, at the remarkable woman who had for so long raised them entirely on her own. "I promise," he vowed, his voice brimming with raw emotion. "Upon everything I hold dear, I promise." Later that day, when Ethan felt a nascent surge of renewed strength, Arthur retrieved his phone. "Do you desire to witness something truly extraordinary?" He presented his son with a captivating video of the aurora borealis he had serendipitously discovered online. "Observe those ethereal lights dancing across the sky. They are akin to nature's own specialized stars. And guess what, my brave boy? When you have fully recuperated, we are all going to embark upon a truly magnificent journey to behold them with our very own eyes." Ethan's eyes widened with unadulterated wonder. "Truly all of us. All of us." Celeste confirmed from the doorway, a soft smile gracing her lips. "As a family. But not until you are considerably stronger." Arthur added, his voice firm yet gentle. "So you must meticulously adhere to all of the doctor's instructions, understood?" Ethan nodded solemnly. "I will. I ardently desire to witness the skylights with my entire family." That evening, as Ethan slumbered peacefully, his breathing finally unlabored, Arthur sat in the tranquil hospital corridor. He retrieved his phone and commenced composing a pivotal email to his esteemed board of directors. "Effective immediately." He typed, his fingers moving with unwavering resolve. "I am stepping back from the arduous responsibilities of day-to-day operations." He continued, "My family in this unprecedented moment requires my unwavering presence, and for the very first time in my existence, I am unequivocally choosing what truly matters." He pressed send without the slightest hesitation. Success, he now comprehended, had assumed an entirely novel significance. It was no longer quantified in the cold, impersonal metrics of dollars or deals, but rather in the steady, reassuring cadence of his sleeping son's breath and the burgeoning trust reflected in his eyes when he uttered the cherished appellation, "Daddy." Down the corridor, he could faintly discern Liam meticulously explaining various constellations to Noah, interspersed with Celeste's gentle, melodic laughter. His family, his authentic success story. The news concerning Arthur Vance's abrupt decision to relinquish active management of his formidable company reverberated through every prominent business publication. "Billionaire chooses kin over capital," proclaimed one particularly sensational headline. But Arthur, profoundly transformed, no longer harbored any concern for the ephemeral dictates of headlines. His unwavering focus was now entirely consecrated to his family, and most particularly to Ethan's remarkable recovery. 2 weeks subsequent to the hospital scare, Arthur had meticulously transformed one of the ancillary rooms in his spacious new residence into a dedicated art studio for Ethan. The room was bathed in an optimal natural light equipped with a state-of-the-art air purifier and contained every conceivable art supply a 6-year-old artist could possibly envision. "Is this truly all for me?" Ethan inquired, his eyes wide with unadulterated wonder as he absorbed the sight of easels and paints. "All for you, my little prince," Arthur smiled, his voice imbued with a profound tenderness. "The doctor advised that you require a serene environment for your breathing treatments. I thought perhaps art could assist in rendering those treatments more engaging." Celeste stood quietly in the doorway, observing them. She had of late found herself doing that, frequently observing Arthur's interactions with the boys, discerning the profound, almost miraculous transformation he had undergone. "The nebulizer treatments typically require 25 minutes, she reminded them, her voice tinged with practicality. "That is a considerable duration for a 6-year-old to remain utterly still." "That is precisely why I procured these," Arthur declared, producing a magnificent set of watercolor paints. "You can paint my artist while the medicine diligently aids your breathing." "And observe Liam and Noah possess designated spaces too." He indicated the other meticulously arranged corners of the room, a small yet powerful telescope positioned by the window for Liam, and a comfortable oversized reading nook replete with vibrant sports magazines for Noah. "So that we can all be together during Ethan's treatments." He elucidated, his gaze encompassing all 3 boys. Celeste felt a welling of tears in her eyes. This, she recognized with a profound certainty, was the quintessential man she had so irrevocably fallen in love with all those years ago, before the relentless pursuit of wealth and success had so tragically altered him. He was back, undeniably, but profoundly different, immeasurably better. "Mommy, may we remain here tonight?" Liam inquired, his voice brimming with hopeful anticipation. "Please." The boys had of late been meticulously dividing their time between both homes, but since Ethan's recent hospital sojourn, their collective desire to be together as a family had intensified considerably. "Actually," Arthur interjected, his voice gaining a subtle gravitas, "I desired to engage in a profound conversation with all of you concerning a particular matter." He led them to the sprawling living room, where they all settled onto the voluminous couch that had, by natural evolution, become their preferred locus for family discussions. "I have been contemplating," he began, his gaze sweeping over their expectant faces. "This house, I have concluded, is simply too expansive for my solitary occupancy, and Ethan, moreover, necessitates the close proximity of both his parents for his ongoing treatments. So what if we transform this into our communal family residence, all of us?" The boy's eyes lit up with unbridled excitement, yet Celeste visibly tensed. "Arthur, not in that fashion," he swiftly clarified, sensing her apprehension. "I engaged the contractor to meticulously assess the property. We can ingeniously create 2 entirely distinct separate living spaces. You and the boys would occupy the main house, and I could reside in the guest house, situated at the rear. We would each possess our own inviolable personal space. Yet we would be sufficiently proximate for the boys, especially for Ethan's late-night treatments." "I ardently desire that," Noah exclaimed, his enthusiasm boundless. "Then we could engage in soccer in the backyard every single day and utilize the magnificent telescope." Liam added, his scientific mind already formulating plans. "And paint together," Ethan said softly, his artistic spirit already envisioning shared creative endeavors. Celeste gazed upon their hopeful, eager faces. "May I contemplate it?" "Of course," Arthur stated, his voice devoid of any pressure. "It is merely an embryonic idea." But later that very night, after the boys had succumbed to the peaceful embrace of slumber, Celeste discovered Arthur in the kitchen. "Did you truly mean what you articulated concerning separate living spaces?" "Completely separate," he assured her, his voice unwavering. "I comprehend, Celeste, that we are not destined for a romantic reunion. I profoundly respect that. This endeavor, my dear, is not about us. It is unequivocally about them." She settled onto the kitchen island. "The truth is, Arthur, you are fundamentally different now." "I was compelled to be," he stated simply, his gaze distant, reflective. "When I beheld Ethan in that stark hospital bed, I finally unequivocally comprehended what you had so desperately endeavored to communicate to me all those years ago. Success, my dear Celeste, possesses no intrinsic meaning if one possesses no cherished individuals with whom to share it. The old Arthur would have simply inundated the problem with capital, hired a retinue of private nurses, procured every conceivable piece of advanced medical equipment. The old Arthur I now recognize was an unmitigated idiot." He smiled sadly, a poignant melancholy in his eyes. "The old Arthur tragically forfeited first steps, first words, first every single precious moment. I cannot reclaim those irrevocably lost moments, but I can, with unwavering resolve, be present for all the moments yet to unfold." Just then, a faint yet unmistakable sound of coughing emanated from upstairs. Both parents instinctively rushed to Ethan's room, discovering him seated upright in his bed, wheezing almost imperceptibly. "I possess the situation," Arthur stated, already reaching for the nebulizer. He settled onto the bed, patiently assisting Ethan with his mask, while Celeste, with practiced ease, prepared his art supplies. "Narrate a story to me," Ethan requested through the nebulizer mask, his voice muffled yet clear. "Which particular one would you prefer?" Arthur inquired, his gaze meeting Celeste's. They had, he realized, never recounted that particular narrative to the boys. "Well," Arthur began, his voice imbued with a soft, narrative quality. It was a remarkably rainy day, much like today. As he commenced narrating the enchanting tale of his initial encounter with Celeste in a quaint coffee shop during their law school days, before he had inherited his father's sprawling company, before the relentless pursuit of money had seemed so overwhelmingly significant, he observed his son Ethan meticulously painting. Ethan's breathing gradually eased as he listened, captivated and created. Liam and Noah, drawn by the enthralling narrative, wandered in. Soon, all three boys were comfortably ensconced upon the bed, listening rapt to the captivating tales of their parents' shared past. And then, Daddy became terribly silly and inadvertently spilled coffee all over himself. Celeste interjected, her voice filled with amusement, causing the boys to dissolve into delightful giggles. "Only because you made me profoundly nervous." Arthur playfully defended himself, a wide grin spreading across his face. "You were without question the most stunning girl I had ever had the privilege of beholding." "Are you still in love?" Liam inquired innocently, his young eyes wide with curiosity. The adults paused, a momentary silence descending upon the room. Finally, Celeste spoke, her voice imbued with a gentle wisdom. "We love each other differently now. We love each other as your parents and as cherished friends." "That is perfectly acceptable too," Ethan stated wisely, his small voice resonating with an unexpected profundity. "As long as we are all together." Later, after the boys had once more surrendered to the tranquil embrace of sleep, Celeste meticulously examined the house plans Arthur had meticulously drawn up. The guest house, she observed, would indeed be completely separate. "Totally. You would never even be compelled to encounter my presence if you so desired." She smiled, a soft, knowing expression. "That is not what I desire. The boys necessitate the presence of both of us, and you have undeniably demonstrated your capacity to embody the father they so profoundly deserve." "Is that then an affirmative?" "It is a 'let us attempt this for their sake.'" Arthur nodded, comprehending her meaning with absolute clarity. This, he recognized, was not a romantic reunion. It was something entirely different, something perhaps even more profoundly significant. The following morning, he contacted his contractor. As he meticulously discussed the forthcoming renovations, his gaze drifted towards the expansive garden where his sons were presently engaged in play. Noah was diligently practicing his soccer moves. Liam was earnestly explaining some intricate scientific principle to his brothers, and Ethan was meticulously setting up his easel. His phone vibrated ceaselessly with incoming messages from the corporate office, from board members expressing profound concern regarding his decision to step back from active management. He disregarded them all with a newfound serenity. Instead, he captured a photograph of his sons and transmitted it to his mother. "This," he wrote, "is what genuine success truly resembles." Evelyn's response when it arrived surprised him. "Yes, it most certainly does. Your father and I would be honored to join you for dinner this weekend, if that is agreeable to Celeste." Arthur smiled. Everyone, he mused, was learning, changing, growing. All because of three diminutive stars who had so profoundly illuminated what truly mattered. In his newly designated art studio, Ethan was once again absorbed in his painting. This time, his picture depicted two distinct houses, one grand, one more modest, with 5 discernible figures positioned harmoniously between them. Above them, he had meticulously painted a vibrant blue sky, replete with a myriad of shimmering stars. "That is utterly beautiful," Arthur remarked, observing over his son's shoulder during his morning breathing treatment. "It is us," Ethan explained, his small voice brimming with pride. "All of us together, different but still a family." "Out of the mouths of babes," Arthur mused inwardly. Different but still a family. Perhaps that, he considered, was precisely the most profound and authentic kind of family one could be. Moving day ushered in a delightful chaos to the Vance property. Professional movers painstakingly carried furniture, while dedicated construction workers applied the final meticulous touches to the newly renovated guest house. The boys, brimming with an irrepressible excitement, darted in excited circles around everyone, weaving deftly between stacks of boxes and busy workers. "Exercise caution." Celeste called out, her voice tinged with maternal concern as the triplets narrowly averted a collision with a man burdened with multiple paint cans. "I possess them," Arthur declared, scooping up Noah under one arm and Liam under the other. Ethan followed closely behind, giggling with unbridled delight at his brother's predicament. "Daddy, please lower us!" Liam squealed, his voice a mixture of mock protest and joyous laughter. "I am uncertain." Arthur pretended to ponder the request. "What is your considered opinion, Ethan? Should I release them?" "Only if they assist me in meticulously organizing my art supplies," Ethan shrewdly bargained, displaying a nascent glimmer of his father's inherent business acumen. Evelyn Vance observed this heartwarming scene from the vantage point of the front porch, a peculiar, unreadable expression gracing her features. She had arrived with the ostensible intention of assisting with the move, bringing with her a veritable retinue of professional organizers, but now she merely stood captivated, observing her son interacting with his children. "He is profoundly different with them, is he not?" Celeste remarked, joining her former mother-in-law on the porch. Evelyn nodded slowly, a contemplative air about her. "I have not witnessed him laugh with such uninhibited joy since before your departure. He has, in essence, found his way back to himself," Celeste observed, her voice soft yet firm. "The authentic Arthur, not the persona the relentless world of commerce unwittingly created." Evelyn turned to her daughter-in-law, her ex-daughter-in-law. She mentally corrected herself. "Celeste, I owe you a sincere apology. What I uttered at the park that day, it was utterly unforgivable, but not entirely unexpected," Celeste stated gently, her voice devoid of resentment. "You were in your way protecting your son, your cherished family name." "I was profoundly mistaken," Evelyn admitted, a rare vulnerability in her tone. "You, Celeste, protected those children far, far more effectively than we could ever have hoped. You bestowed upon them the immeasurable gift of love rather than merely a legacy." Inside the main house, Arthur was diligently assisting the boys in meticulously setting up their rooms. Each boy had selected a special personalized project to undertake with their father. In Liam's room, they were engaged in the intricate task of suspending a colossal, meticulously detailed model of the solar system from the ceiling. "Jupiter is the most colossal planet," Liam informed him with scientific gravitas. "That is absolutely correct," Arthur agreed, "just as you are the largest by 3 minutes. But size, my dear Liam, possesses no ultimate significance." He recited something his mother often articulated. "We are all uniquely special in our own distinct ways." In Noah's room, they were meticulously arranging a display case for his burgeoning collection of soccer trophies. "Even the participation ones?" Arthur inquired, a hint of playful teasing in his voice. "Mommy asserts that every single trophy narrates a unique story," Noah explained earnestly, "even the ones that do not explicitly declare winner." Ethan's room consumed the most considerable amount of time. They had to meticulously position his easel, precisely arrange his nebulizer where he could effortlessly access it, and meticulously organize all of his vast array of art supplies by color. "Perfect," Ethan declared, finally surveying his newly organized artistic domain. Arthur gazed around his son's room, vividly recalling the sterile utilitarian hospital room from mere weeks ago. "Yes, it is indeed perfect." That evening, after the last of the workers and movers had departed, the family gathered in the heart of the kitchen. Evelyn had, with a characteristic insistence, declared her intention to prepare dinner, or rather to have her private chef prepare dinner. "Grandma," Liam inquired as they ate, "will you and Grandpa visit more frequently now?" Evelyn glanced at Celeste, who offered a subtle, encouraging nod. "We would very much cherish that, my dearest," Evelyn confirmed, her voice softening, "if it is agreeable to your parents." "Both of them." Noah checked his young eyes wide with earnestness. "Both of them." Evelyn confirmed her gaze, encompassing both Arthur and Celeste. "Your mother and father are both integral components of this family." After dinner, Arthur escorted his mother to her waiting vehicle. "Thank you," he stated simply, his voice imbued with profound gratitude. "For what, my son?" "For making the effort, for accepting this rather unconventional arrangement." Evelyn gently touched her son's cheek. "You know, observing you today, the manner in which you interact with them with Celeste. I finally comprehend why you chose to step back from the company. Some things, my dear Arthur, are worth far, far more than mere money." As the days progressed, the family seamlessly settled into a comforting, predictable routine. Every morning, Arthur meticulously prepared breakfast for everyone in the main house before embarking upon the short journey to his office in the guest house. He had, with a strategic foresight, retained a few key overarching roles within the company, but had diligently delegated the majority of the day-to-day operations. The boys moved freely and uninhibitedly between both houses, treating the guest house as an organic extension of their own home. They had even, with a collective enthusiasm, meticulously decorated one of its rooms as their special designated space, a sanctuary where they could retreat when they desired exclusive time with just their father. One evening, approximately 8 months subsequent to the move, Celeste discovered Arthur seated on the back porch of the guest house, his demeanor troubled. "What disquiets you?" she inquired, settling into the adjacent chair. "The board desires my return to full-time management," he stated, his voice tinged with a subtle weariness. "They are decidedly displeased with the current arrangement." "What, then, is your intention?" Arthur gazed towards the main house, where through the illuminated windows they could discern the boys. Ethan was engaged in his evening breathing treatment while meticulously painting. Liam was immersed in a book concerning the unfathomable mysteries of space, and Noah was diligently organizing his prized collection of soccer cards. "I am going to unequivocally refuse," he stated firmly, his jaw set with unwavering resolve. "I shall divest myself of my shares if the situation so necessitates. I am not under any circumstance going to forego any more precious moments." Celeste gently touched his arm. "You have truly undergone a profound transformation. I possessed excellent instructors." He smiled, nodding towards the children within the house. Inside, they heard Ethan cough softly. Both parents instinctively began to rise, but Celeste gently waved Arthur back down. "I possess this one," she stated, her voice soft but firm. "You oversaw the morning treatment." As she walked away, Arthur called after her, "Celeste, thank you." "For what, Arthur?" "For granting me another invaluable opportunity to embody their father, for illuminating what truly possesses intrinsic value." She smiled, a profound understanding in her eyes. "You accomplished that feat yourself, Arthur. The precise moment you unequivocally chose them over every other consideration." Later that night, after the boys had succumbed to sleep, Arthur sat in his guest house office. But instead of poring over dry business reports, he was meticulously sifting through a box filled with drawings Ethan had created specifically for him. One depicted their two houses with the words, "My Happy Family," scrawled in charmingly wobbly letters. His phone chimed softly. It was Charles, his father. "The board contacted me," Charles stated without preamble. "They desired for me to impart some sense into you." Arthur waited, tensing for the inevitable argument. "I instructed them to go to the nether regions." Charles declared, a surprising, uncharacteristic bluntness in his voice. "You what?" "I informed them that my son had finally apprehended a truth I regrettably never did. That family above all else always comes first." Charles's voice softened, imbued with a newfound tenderness. "I am profoundly proud of you, my son." Arthur gazed at Ethan's drawing once more. "Thanks, Dad. Would you care to visit this weekend? Noah has a soccer game." "Would not miss it for the world," Charles stated, a genuine enthusiasm in his voice. "Your mother has already meticulously selected her cheering ensemble." After terminating the call, Arthur proceeded to the main house to perform one final reassuring check on the boys, a ritual that had become an indispensable part of his nightly routine. He discovered Celeste engaged in the identical task. They stood together in the quiet hallway, nestled between the boys' rooms, listening to their peaceful, rhythmic breathing. "We performed admirably," Celeste whispered, a profound contentment in her voice. "You performed admirably," Arthur corrected her gently. "I am merely endeavoring to catch up." "You are catching up exceptionally well," she assured him, a warm smile playing upon her lips. They shared a knowing smile, not a romantic one, but one born of profound mutual understanding. They had, in their own unique way, discovered a different kind of love, one meticulously constructed upon the bedrock of shared parenthood, unwavering friendship, and 3 extraordinary sons. As Arthur ambled back to his guest house in the tranquil hours of the early morning, he apprehended a profound realization. The lingering wounds of the past, his own complex childhood, his egregious errors with Celeste, the precious years he had tragically foregone with his sons. They were not entirely expunged, but they were undeniably healing, gradually transforming into something entirely new: wisdom, understanding, and most crucially, love. He gazed back at the main house where his cherished family slumbered peacefully. Success, he now unequivocally knew, was not measured by what one gained. It was intrinsically defined by what one magnanimously gave back. And he possessed the remainder of his life to bestow upon his sons everything that truly mattered. 8 months had elapsed since the family had embarked upon their unconventional, yet profoundly fulfilling living arrangement. Autumn had gracefully yielded to winter, and now spring, with its promise of renewal, was breathing new life into the vibrant garden that served as a harmonious conduit between the main house and Arthur's guest house. But more than mere blossoms were unfurling. Healing, profound and incremental, was manifesting one precious day at a time. The occasion was Noah's inaugural major soccer game. The entire burgeoning family had converged upon the local field. Arthur and Celeste, Evelyn, and Charles, even Clara, had with uncharacteristic enthusiasm come to bear witness. But something was amiss. Noah sat slumped on the bench, his young face etched with an unmistakable reluctance to participate. "He is experiencing considerable nervousness," Celeste explained softly to Arthur. "He harbors a profound apprehension of disappointing everyone." Arthur gazed at his son, discerning the poignant reflection of his own childhood fears mirrored in those young eyes. Without a moment's hesitation, he strode purposefully towards the bench. "Hey, little buddy," he said softly, his voice imbued with a gentle warmth. "Would you care to articulate what precisely is transpiring?" Noah looked down at his cleats, his gaze fixed upon the worn leather. "What if I make a mistake? What if I cause you and Grandpa to feel ashamed?" Arthur felt his heart ache with an almost unbearable tenderness. How many countless times had he, as a child, harbored that very same paralyzing fear? How many times had that fear propelled him to irrevocably push away everything that truly mattered? "Noah, look at me," he stated, kneeling before his son, bringing himself to the boy's level. "Do you comprehend what truly elicits my pride? It is not the act of winning, nor the pursuit of unattainable perfection. What truly elicits my profound pride is witnessing your earnest endeavor, just as you do when you patiently assist Ethan with his breathing exercises, or when you attentively listen to Liam's intricate space stories, even when you do not fully grasp every scientific nuance. Truly," Noah looked up, his eyes suddenly alight with a burgeoning hope. "Truly. And furthermore, my brave boy, it is perfectly permissible to experience fear. To be courageous, you see, does not imply an absence of fear. It signifies the profound act of proceeding, of attempting something, even when fear attempts to immobilize you." From the sidelines, Charles observed this poignant exchange. He turned to Evelyn, his voice thick with raw emotion. "We should have been that particular kind of parents to him." Evelyn squeezed her husband's hand, a silent acknowledgement of shared regret. "He learned from our mistakes. He became a superior parent to what we were." Noah finally stood up, a newfound resolve emanating from him, ready to join the spirited game. Before bounding onto the field, he enveloped his father in a tight, heartfelt hug. "Thanks, Daddy." The game, it must be stated, was far from perfect. Noah's team did not emerge victorious. But every single time he glanced towards the sidelines, he discerned the unwavering presence of his entire family, cheering for him with unbridled enthusiasm, not because he was winning, but because he was earnestly trying. After the game concluded, as the family ambled towards their vehicles, Charles gently pulled Arthur aside. "Son, I find it imperative to articulate something," he began, his voice imbued with a profound seriousness. "Something I should have vocalized countless years ago." Arthur waited, observing the visible struggle etched upon his father's face. "I am profoundly sorry," Charles stated finally, his voice thick with emotion. "I am sorry for instilling within you the erroneous belief that success in the realm of business was of greater importance than success in the grand tapestry of life. I am sorry for exerting such immense pressure upon you that you almost irrevocably lost what truly mattered." Arthur felt tears threatening to well once more. "Dad." "No. Permit me to finish. Observing you with your children, witnessing the profound manner in which you have unequivocally chosen them over every other consideration, it has illuminated for me the extent of my own grave error. The company, the accumulated wealth, none of it possesses any intrinsic meaning compared to this." I apprehended that truth too late, Arthur admitted, a profound sadness in his voice. Not too late, Charles corrected, his voice resonating with a quiet wisdom. Look around you. Arthur did as instructed. He observed Liam enthusiastically explaining a newly discovered constellation to his grandmother. Ethan was meticulously sketching the soccer field in his sketchbook, while Celeste held his specialized cream and EpiPen merely as a precaution. Noah was still on the field, diligently practicing penalty kicks, even though the game had long since concluded. That evening, they all gathered at the main house for dinner, a nascent, cherished family tradition. Evelyn and Charles had, with a newfound ease, shed their formal business attire for comfortable casual clothing, appearing more relaxed than Arthur had ever witnessed them. "Grandma," Ethan inquired as they ate, "will you teach me to prepare cookies just like you used to make for Daddy?" Evelyn nearly dropped her fork, a look of profound astonishment on her face. You desire to bake with me." "If that is agreeable," Ethan said shyly, his gaze hopeful. "Oh, my sweet boy." Evelyn's voice wavered thick with emotion. "Nothing, my dearest, would render me more supremely joyful." Later, as the boys enthusiastically guided their grandparents on a tour of their rooms, Celeste discovered Arthur in the kitchen, diligently engaged in the task of washing dishes. "Your parents have also undergone a discernible transformation," she observed. "They are making a genuine effort," Arthur agreed. "Just as I am. You have accomplished more than merely attempting, Arthur. You have, in essence, succeeded where it matters most profoundly." He looked at her with a newfound curiosity. "What precisely do you signify? Do you recall when we were first married, how you perpetually articulated your fervent desire to embody a success story? I was profoundly mistaken about what that truly signified." "No." Celeste smiled, a profound warmth in her eyes. "You merely required time to discern what particular kind of success story you genuinely desired to be. And now, observe, you are the very narrative of a father who unequivocally chose love over the allure of wealth, who diligently learned from his regrettable mistakes and became a superior human being because of them." From upstairs, the joyous sound of laughter reverberated. Liam, it appeared, was delivering a passionate lecture on the intricate workings of the solar system to Grandpa Charles, replete with an impressive array of sound effects. "We all harbor regrets." Celeste continued, her voice imbued with a gentle understanding. "I regret not exerting greater effort to apprise you of the pregnancy. You regret not being present. Your parents regret the manner in which they reared you. But regrets, my dear Arthur, do not hold as much significance as what we choose to undertake next." "When did you acquire such profound wisdom?" Arthur teased, a playful glint in his eyes. "Around the precise moment I was compelled to raise triplets entirely by myself," she retorted, but her smile was warm, unfeigned. That night, after his parents had departed and the boys were safely tucked into their beds, Arthur sat in his guest house, meticulously perusing old photographs. He discovered one from his own nascent childhood, a diminutive boy in a stiff, formal suit, standing rigidly beside his father at a corporate board meeting. Next to it, he tenderly placed a recent photograph of Noah embracing him fiercely after the soccer game. Both of them muddy, both of them grinning widely. The stark contrast could not have been more eloquently delineated. His phone buzzed softly with a text message from Celeste. "Ethan is asking for you. Bad dream." Within mere minutes, he was in the main house, tenderly holding his son as he wept softly from the lingering echoes of a nightmare. Liam and Noah also appeared drawn by their brother's distress. "May we all slumber in the fort again?" Noah inquired, his small voice filled with hopeful anticipation. Arthur looked at Celeste, who offered a subtle affirmative nod. Soon the living room underwent its familiar transformation, morphing into their comforting blanket fort. The boys drifted back to sleep, listening intently as their parents recounted enchanting stories from their own childhoods. Not tales of opulent parties or monumental business successes, but the small, authentic moments that he now understood truly forged a family. As Arthur ambled back to his guest house in the quiet hours of the early morning, a profound realization dawned upon him. The lingering wounds of the past, his own complex childhood, his regrettable mistakes with Celeste, the precious years he had tragically missed with his sons. They were not entirely obliterated, but they were undeniably healing, subtly transforming into something entirely new. Profound wisdom, nuanced understanding, and most crucially, an abundance of unconditional love. He gazed back at the main house where his cherished family slumbered peacefully. Success, he now knew with an unshakable certainty, was not measured by what one acquired. It was intrinsically defined by what one generously gave back. And he possessed the remainder of his life to bestow upon his sons everything that truly mattered. 1 year had gracefully elapsed since that momentous night at Ether's Peak restaurant. 1 year since Arthur had first glimpsed his son, since his meticulously ordered life had been irrevocably altered. Now, on a balmy spring evening, the renowned restaurant was once again replete with individuals of considerable importance, but this time for an entirely divergent reason. Happy birthday! The assembled crowd cheered with unbridled enthusiasm as the triplets, their young faces alight with joy, exhaled forcefully, extinguishing the flickering candles atop their respective cakes. 7 years old, Arthur could scarcely credit it. The private dining room at Ether's Peak had been utterly transformed. Gone was the stuffy business atmosphere and the formal place settings. Instead, the air vibrated with the festive presence of vibrant balloons, cascading streamers, and 3 distinct birthday cakes, each meticulously chosen to cater to a specific boy's unique palate. "Make a profound wish," Celeste gently encouraged them. "But we already possess everything we could possibly desire," Liam declared matter-of-factly, his young voice ringing with contentment. Evelyn dabbed delicately at her eyes with a pristine napkin. Beside her, Charles beamed with an unadulterated pride. They had traversed an immense distance from being the cold, business-focused grandparents they had once embodied. Now, Evelyn meticulously spent every Tuesday baking delectable cookies with Ethan, while Charles, with an unwavering dedication, never once missed a solitary one of Noah's spirited soccer games. Speech, Clara called out, her voice filled with warmth. She had, over the course of the preceding year, become akin to a cherished family member, far more than merely Arthur's efficient assistant. Arthur stood up, his gaze sweeping slowly around the room, encompassing every beloved face. 1 year ago, he began, his voice resonating with a quiet intensity, I was seated in this very restaurant, erroneously believing I possessed everything I required. I possessed immeasurable wealth, monumental success, formidable power. But I was profoundly mistaken. I possessed nothing because I did not possess what truly mattered. He looked at his sons, Ethan in his royal blue party outfit, Liam with his telescope-shaped hair clips, Noah in his cherished soccer jersey, despite the formal occasion. Then 3 luminous stars serendipitously entered my life and illuminated for me what true success undeniably resembles. It resembles Ethan's breathing growing stronger with each passing day. It resembles Liam discovering a new, previously uncatalogued constellation. It resembles Noah scoring his inaugural triumphant goal. He turned to Celeste, his gaze filled with a profound gratitude. And it resembles forgiveness, profound understanding, and the precious gift of second chances. Thank you, Celeste, for granting me the invaluable opportunity to be their father. Group hug. Noah declared, his enthusiasm infectious. And suddenly Arthur found himself enveloped by his sons, their small arms encircling him in a joyous embrace. "May we present them with their extraordinary gift now?" Evelyn inquired eagerly, her voice brimming with excitement. Arthur nodded a subtle signal. 3 large, exquisitely wrapped envelopes were ceremoniously presented, one for each boy. Inside each envelope, nestled carefully, was a letter and a legal document. "What is it?" Liam inquired, meticulously examining the papers with a nascent scientific curiosity. "Well," Arthur elucidated, his voice gentle and clear, "do you recall our previous discourse concerning the myriad different kinds of families? How some reside harmoniously in one single dwelling, some in 2, some possess divergent surnames?" The boys nodded, their expressions attentive. "These papers, my dearest sons, officially consecrate your lineage as Vances, but only if that is your sincere desire. You are entirely at liberty to retain your mother's distinguished surname if you prefer. It is entirely your autonomous choice." "We would be Vances like you and Grandma and Grandpa?" Noah inquired, his voice filled with a hopeful anticipation. "Yes, my strong one. But more importantly, it unmistakably demonstrates to the entire world what we already unequivocally comprehend, that we are a family. Different from some families perhaps, but undeniably, irrefutably still a family." "May we hyphenate?" Ethan inquired, surprising everyone with his sophisticated vocabulary. "Dubois Vance, so we possess both names." Arthur and Celeste exchanged proud, affectionate glances. "Of course you may." Celeste stated, her voice brimming with maternal pride. "If that is your heartfelt desire." "I desire that too," Liam agreed swiftly. "Me three," Noah added, his enthusiasm undiminished. And thus it was decided. The papers were formally signed, solidifying in the legal realm what their hearts had for many months already implicitly understood. They were the Dubois-Vance family, uniquely configured and perfectly whole in their own extraordinary way. Later that evening, as the festivities gradually wound down, Arthur found himself back at the identical spot where he had first caught sight of his sons 1 year prior. Celeste joined him, her presence a comforting warmth beside his. "A penny for your profound thoughts," she inquired softly. "I was merely contemplating that pivotal night," he began, his voice reflective, "how utterly terrified I was when the realization dawned upon me that they might indeed be my sons. And now I cannot for a single moment envision my existence without their vibrant presence." "You have traversed a considerable journey, Arthur," she stated softly, her voice filled with admiration. "We all have." He looked at their sons, who were now enthusiastically instructing their grandparents in the intricate rules of a new game they had collectively invented. "Thank you, Celeste." "For what, Arthur?" "For not entirely relinquishing hope in me, for permitting my inclusion in their precious lives, for illuminating what truly holds value." She gently touched his arm. "You undertook the arduous work yourself, Arthur. You unequivocally chose them. Every single day. You choose them. And I always will," he promised, his voice resonating with an unwavering conviction. The boys suddenly raced over, brimming with youthful energy and the lingering effects of cake. "Daddy, may we reveal Mommy our special surprise now?" Arthur checked his timepiece. Perfect timing. They all proceeded outside to the restaurant's expansive garden terrace. The sun was gracefully descending, painting the vast expanse of the sky in a breathtaking symphony of colors. "Look upwards," Arthur instructed them. Right on cue, an ethereal cascade of lights began to dance across the sky. Not the authentic aurora borealis he had once promised them, but a magnificent, meticulously arranged light show, creating the captivating illusion of dancing lights amidst the constellations. "It is pure magic," Ethan whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. "Like our family," Liam added, his voice filled with a profound sense of belonging. "Better than achieving victory in any soccer game," Noah declared, his enthusiasm boundless. Arthur gazed at his family, his sons gazing upwards at the dancing lights, Celeste smiling with maternal pride, his parents holding hands like newly infatuated teenagers, Clara meticulously capturing every moment with her camera. This, he realized, was his authentic empire, his genuine success story. 1 year ago, he had been a fundamentally different man, a man who erroneously measured worth in the cold, hard currency of dollars and deals. Now he measured it in fierce hugs, in whispered bedtime stories, in the joyous chaos of soccer games, and intricate science projects, and charming crayon drawings. "Daddy," Ethan tugged gently at his sleeve, "will you instruct me in the art of drawing the lights?" "Of course, my little prince. We can make an attempt tomorrow during your breathing treatment." "May we all draw together?" Liam inquired. "Even though I possess no particular aptitude for art," Noah added, his voice hesitant. "Especially because you possess no particular aptitude for art." Arthur laughed, a sound of unadulterated joy. "That, my dearest sons, is precisely what families do. We endeavor to undertake activities together even when we are not inherently skilled at them." Later that night, after the party had concluded and the boys were peacefully slumbering in their rooms in the main house, Arthur sat in his guest house, meticulously perusing the birthday cards they had created for him. Each one was singularly unique. Ethan's was a breathtaking drawing. Liam's included a fascinating array of scientific facts concerning birthdays around the world, and Noah's featured a vibrant soccer ball sticker and letters that were charmingly, yet unmistakably crooked. He carefully placed them in a special album he maintained, not one dedicated to business achievements or press clippings, but one devoted to genuine success. His son's artwork, their academic reports, photographs of cherished family moments. On the final page, he tenderly placed a new photograph from that very night, all of them gazing upwards at the dancing lights, their faces illuminated with profound wonder. Beneath it, he wrote, "The authentic meaning of success, loving and being loved in return." Arthur Vance, once renowned as the formidable businessman who ostensibly possessed everything, now possessed something infinitely more valuable: A family that irrefutably demonstrated that second chances were indeed possible, that the transformative power of love could profoundly heal old wounds, and that sometimes the most magnificent success stories were not about what one painstakingly acquired, but about what one serendipitously discovered when one was not even actively seeking. And as he traversed the well-worn path between his guest house and the main house one final time that night, performing his customary check on his sleeping sons, he knew with an unshakable certainty that this moment, this precious life, this boundless love was worth more than all the billions he had ever amassed. He had at long last discovered his true fortune, and it was without question worth every single star in the vast, boundless sky.
Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.